The second season of Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-Kun, takes viewers back to the Netherworld, the vibrant domain of demons of all kinds and shapes. As shown in Season 1, our protagonist, Iruma Suzuki, is a dense but kind-hearted human disguised as a demon. Lord Sullivan's foster grandson and he finds himself in more exciting shenanigans than ever in Season 2. His studies at the Babel's Demon School continue, and new friends and enemies emerge, bringing with them new challenges. Episode 1. Iruma resumes his normal routine at school. One day when he goes to lunch, the creature that had previously come from his ring reappears, but to their shock, he can now speak, revealing himself to be the incarceration of the gluttonous feeder ring. After reprimanding Iruma for his crappy use of magical powers, the creature asks him to perform transformation magic to help it acquire a proper look. The spells fail and he becomes a skinny little one-eyed creature in a suit for which Iruma gets an earful. He tells Iruma to call him Alacred, also instructing him to try different things with his transformation powers, which eventually leads to him transforming into different outfits with more creativity and originality. While in the middle of the transformation experiments, Amary, the student council president, unexpectedly encounters him in a questionable outfit, and is utterly embarrassed and puzzled by the sight of him in a dress. She runs away before he is able to explain himself. He desperately wants to clear up the confusion, but Alacred is unwilling to expose his identity just for the sake of clarification. He demands that he first wants to know that there are other individuals like him. Iruma subsequently contacts his grandfather about the ring and how it communicates. Believing that his grandfather may have deeper knowledge, Sullivan, on the other hand, says that rings cannot communicate and that his ring is only a magical storage device. After heavy research of the past and all the time that Alacred was unconscious, Iruma learns that the higher his rank, the more Alacred evolves. Therefore, he sets a new objective of continuing to rise through the ranks in order to uncover Alacred's real story, whatever it takes. Episode number 2. Meanwhile, Amary spends 3 nights in a row having terrible nightmares about Iruma cross-dressing. She notices how distracted she has been lately, causing a misunderstanding with her father and exaggerating things in the student council. This leads her to consider Iruma as more than just a schoolmate or a human who translates her comics. Eventually, she resolves to discuss matters with him. Meanwhile, Crocelle makes Iruma wear her outfit for a picture shoot, since her fans want to know who the idol was at her show. As a result of very bad timing, Amary sees Iruma on top of Crocelle during the scuffle, which leads to yet another misunderstanding. She leads him to the student council room and informs him that his battler group must be suspended for the time being due to a lack of sufficient members to complete the standards. Not surprisingly, Iruma is compelled to join the student council and work for Amary. While performing student council duties, he is awed by how competent Amary is, particularly when she refuses to allow Sullivan to continue pampering him. He quickly gets the hang of his job and impresses the other members, while Amary contemplates promoting him to a full student council member. Then, while reading First Love Memories, Amary's teacup cracks, which she interprets as an omen. Her hunch was partially correct when she was led away and kidnapped by an anonymous hooded figure. The council quickly notices her disappearance, and when they find her, she starts behaving abnormally. Episode 3. Soon, the student council members learn that Amary has been possessed by an enchantment that, while keeping her former memories, has transformed her personality into more graceful and ladylike. However, the bad news is that since the spell is quite complicated, breaking it by force would be unwise. An expert teacher reveals that if Amary continues to follow her typical routine, her former personality should return soon. Despite their dismay at the news, the student council vows to find the culprit. To make matters worse, the members find it impossible to keep up with the task Amary used to do. They also can't stand her new kawaii character. Things take a turn when there is an unexpected entry of Renove Romier, the charismatic president of the disciplinary battler group, whom the council feels are to blame for Amary's plight. He reveals his plan to take over the student council now that Amary is no longer competent enough to do so. He challenges them to a dissolution election, and whoever loses is forced to resign. When he starts caressing Amary, Iruma slaps his hand away, causing him to withdraw. The next day, Renove campaigns using his charisma ability and pledges to be more liberal than the President's Student Council. Alacred reappears using Iruma that the spell is almost broken and only needs a trigger to be fully reversed. Interrupting Alacred in mid-sentence, Amary appears clothed in her old outfit. Episode number 4. Apparently, she had hoped that wearing her old attire would break the spell, but she is now thinking of leaving the council. Iruma dislikes the idea and reminds her of the hard work of her former personality. Meanwhile, Renove vows to make the school a paradise during the election. Amary is reminded of how successful she wanted the school to become as a result of Iruma's encouragement, and she delivers an emotional speech urging the pupils to pursue their own ambitions rather than Renove's. However, when she catches a glimpse of Iruma in the crowd, the trigger activates and the spell breaks. It is then revealed that the true perpetrator of the spell was Eligoth Chanel, who manufactured ladylike perfume to make Amary cute in order to please his perverted desires. Once Eligoth is punished, Amary invites Renove to the council. She also invites Iruma, but he chooses to get his battler group restored and wishes to see Amary at the next reading. In the end, Amary finally decides to pursue her goal of making Iruma hers. Episode number 5. Sullivan plans a party and requests that Iruma brings his classmates. As Alacred taunts Iruma about Clara being the first female he invited over, the latter gets more and more anxious. Sullivan attempts and fails horribly to create a good first impression on Iruma's friends. However, he's relieved after the party is over when Iruma thanks him for allowing his friends to come. When Iruma laments over how he still doesn't know anything about demon society, Alacred decides to discreetly help him and magically transform his personality to resemble that of a demon. The next morning, Sullivan is shocked to see that his beloved Iruma has turned harsh, disrespectful, and incredibly nasty. Episode 6. Because of Iruma's new personality, his peers believe he is in his evil cycle, a phase every demon goes through in their teenage years. When Iruma notices that other students are abusing the rights of his misfit classmates, he approaches Kalego, their professor, and insists that they be given a better classroom. Kalego inserts that there are no other vacant classrooms. Iruma surprises everyone by demanding the king's royal classroom, where the former Demon King was once a student, which remains vacant to honor his memory. Kalego is furious at the notion, but Iruma wagers that he can secure the approval of every professor within 3 days. If she succeeds, Kalego will give in. Misfits declare they couldn't care less about whom the classroom once belonged to, which Iruma points out is how true demons should be. Arrogant, greedy, and wicked, which is exactly why the Misfits deserve the king's classroom the most. The entire class pledges to secure the room after being inspired by him. The latter discloses that he has a strategy to gain the faculty's permission, for which he needs Jazz, the Misfits' renowned thief. Episode number 7. Iruma purposefully interrogates Kalego to distract him so that Jazz can steal his diary, which they sell for the consent paper from Momonoki, an instructor who has a crush on Kalego. Several other professors exchange their consent for questionable things like students assisting with their research, removing weeds, and perverted information. In order to get Sullivan's consent, Iruma poses for a family portrait. He chooses to seek further consent from Amary and the council, persuading her with an emotional speech about the Misfits' potential and closing the agreement with a wall slap that wins her heart. The Misfits easily obtain all professors' consent in 3 days, with the exception of Kalego's. Episode number 8. However, Kalego reveals that Iruma was expected to obtain permission from everyone at Babel's, including the janitors, chefs, and librarians. Unexpectedly, just when Kalego thought he won, they all appear with their consent papers, having chosen to assist Iruma in return for his kindness in the past. Kalego, defeated, offers his consent paper as well. Massive crowds flock to view the classroom as it has been locked for generations, and the Misfits realize they have become celebrities. Kalego ceremoniously opens the door, showing the classroom to be as lavish as a palace. Unfortunately, Alacred's magic on Iruma ultimately wears off, causing him to feel extremely ashamed. After he apologizes for faking an evil cycle, everyone takes pictures with Iruma on the throne. Episode number 9. Kalego warns the Misfits that summer break is approaching, but if they fail their examinations, they must attend extra lessons instead. Iruma admits to being a lousy learner, therefore Asmodeus decides to organize a study club, explaining that everyone with a high enough score moves up a rank. But a poor performance reduces rank. This worries Alacred since his intellect is dependent on Iruma's rank, and if Iruma loses rank, Alacred would just become a mindless black flame demon. However, when Asmodeus tests Iruma, he earns a perfect grade on mythological zoology, which is all about human life. Iruma decides to attend an optional class taught by the author of mythological zoology, Balam Shichiro, who behaves quite strangely. Episode number 10. It is revealed that Balam is fascinated with imaginary creatures such as humans. When explaining how demons developed wings, Balam sees Iruma lacks them until Alacred hurriedly tries to cover for him. Iruma unintentionally reveals he is human, fearing Balam would devour him, but Balam is delighted to have proof he isn't crazy and that humans exist. As Iruma returns to class, he finds everyone sad and angry about their studies. However, he knows that however bad his exam may go, his vacations can't be worse than how they were when he was human. Balam enters and reveals that he and Kalego were classmates many years ago and are still good friends. Seeing the students struggle, he offers them other learning methods such as singing songs and playing games, and even develops instructional picture books for Iruma. The Misfits start helping each other out, and Iruma discovers that studying is no longer a bother. Eventually, the exam day arrives. Episode number 11. Kalego informs the Misfits that they all passed their tests, that many of them have moved up a rank, and that Iruma passed but not sufficiently to move up a rank. Amary asks Iruma to come to their manga reading, but he's already at karaoke with the boys, so the girls take Amary to a girls-only party. They insist on discussing relationships, and Clara announces that she has a crush on Iruma, and wouldn't mind marrying him. Much to Amary's annoyance. Following a lengthy disagreement over Iruma and love, everyone decides to exchange contact information and meet for another tea party. Iruma arrives, but is kicked out. Episode number 12. Kalego is angered when Sullivan orders him to do home visits for students. The visits go terribly as he duels Goemon's father, guards his wallet against Jazz's brother, and resists marrying Lead's older sister. When he arrived at Iruma's house, it is revealed that Kalego is frightened of Opera, the security demon who used to be his senior and harassed him for fun. Kalego informs Sullivan that Iruma has pathetic grades and is frequently involved in accidents. But he has gained many valuable friends and has a natural capacity to overcome obstacles. The next day, being the sadistic professor he is, Kalego assigns holiday homework to everyone. During the vacation, the Misfits invite Iruma to Walter Amusement Park. Episode number 13. Iruma and the Misfits head to Walter Park, but Sullivan forces Kalego, Balam, and Opera. Amary also shows up, mistaking it for a date with Iruma alone. The students are divided into 3 groups, and Kalego is persuaded to reward the team that has the most fun. But he just insists on giving who's in 3rd place extra homework. The girls decide to make Amary try on a cute outfit, while Kalego's squad decides to make him enjoy himself in one way or another. Iruma encounters Renove, who tells Walter Park is owned by his father. He also unintentionally exposes that the park's basement is a jail where jailed criminals' magic is discreetly absorbed to fuel the park. Kirio, the Season 1 antagonist, is shown to be in jail and working with a gang of other convicts to escape with outside support from the infamous Musashino crew, an extreme organization that believes demons should go back to being wicked. Kirio had agreed to assist the gang in destroying Walter Park in exchange for the inmates' freedom. Episode 14. The opera team enjoys testing on outfits with Walter employees, while the Kalego team participates in a shooting game with other employees. His crew proposes exploring Kiraragi Street, but is cautioned that it is a corrupt area where criminals assemble. Iruma gets lost along Kiraragi Street and encounters a lovely lady named Shida. After she vanishes, Iruma learns about Sixfingers, another criminal organization aiming to return to the old demon ways. Eventually, it is revealed that the Walter employees and Shida are Sixfingers who intended to destroy the park and liberate Kiryu. To demolish the park, they summon 3 massive monsters. Episode number 15. The creatures begin to completely destroy the park. Kalego urges his crew to battle despite the fact that they have yet to understand attack magic. Sixfingers infiltrates the jail in order to locate Kiryu and open all of the cells in order to keep the guards occupied. Even Triton, the prison's vice chief, gets easily defeated. Despite his nervousness, Jazz, who has the highest rank, is put in command by the others. He attempts and fails to devise an effective strategy. Iruma is furious that his day has been wrecked and begins to feel strange. Many children are trapped beneath the debris, and Iruma realizes that no other demons are ready to rescue them. Their innate selfishness stopping them from helping unless it is benefiting them in some way. Iruma eventually realizes what his peculiar feeling is. Rage, an emotion he has never felt before. Episode number 16. Iruma runs to assist despite the fact that it puts him in the path of the dragon monster, motivating his peers to assist as well. Jazz manages to distract the Minotaur monster long enough to get into its ear and use his necklace, ear piercer whistle, to rupture its ears. Kalego finally intervenes and gets rid of the monster with a single blow. Amary demonstrates Romantitsta, a bloodline power for the first time boosts her physical skills. The more confidence she has, with more self-belief than ever, she effortlessly destroys the rat monster. Opera, impressed with her skill, offers her to work for Sullivan. Amary is tempted since it would mean living in the same house as Iruma. Meanwhile, Asmodeus prepares to face Dragon and Iruma saves the children. Episode number 17. Nevertheless, Asmodeus becomes so anxious about Iruma's safety that he endangers his own life and is saved by Sabnok. Balam constructs a massive wooden dragon and kills the final monster. Sixfingers senses the defeat of the 3 creatures and merges them into the bigger magical beast. Opera, Kalego in owl form, and Balam join forces to destroy Beast. Beast collects its leftover power in order to construct a bomb that will kill everyone in the park. Everyone is stunned as Renove emerges and uses his charisma skill to get Beast to look at him, directing the bomb away from the park and onto himself. Iruma appears in front of Renove seconds before he is about to die. Episode number 18. Iruma summons Alacred, who consumes Beast's power and ends its story once and for all. Kalego chastises Iruma for putting himself in danger again, but praises him for his achievement. Opera finally understands why Iruma was chosen as Sullivan's grandson. Meanwhile, Sixfingers reaches Kiryu and explains that they were dispatched by Lord Ball. Kiryu is overtaken with passion when he learns that Iruma has destroyed Beast and feels they are both indeed fated rivals. In the end, Walter Park still stands as a hindrance to Lord Ball's objective, as its role is to relax demons in their evil cycles. As a gesture of thanks for preserving his park, Renove's father places the Misfits in a hotel. Despite the fact that it appears to be a romantic manga scenario, Amary confronts Iruma alone at a party and asks him if they could do something alone, one day to which he agrees, and she passes out from excitement. The incident is covered in the news, and Iruma becomes a hero instantly, with reporters and fans crowding the hotel. That's when Clara offers for them to come to her house instead of returning home because it is unsafe to do so. Episode number 19. Iruma is taken aback because he's never been asked to a friend's home. As they arrive, they discover Clara's mother and siblings overly excited to greet them. Their house is packed with weird artifacts that Clara's father, a professional explorer, has supposedly sent home. Clara feels ashamed when Iruma sees her baby picture until he comments on how cute she is. It is stated that the family obtains their sustenance from the nearby forest. Clara and Asmodeus strive to acquire the finest ingredients for Iruma, so Clara's mother proposes hunting the tastiest beast in the forest. This beast is an unusual creature composed of both animal and vegetable elements. Clara's brothers are almost eaten by it, but Asmodeus saves them. Eventually, Clara's mother comes and captures it. Later that night, everyone realizes that Clara is actually an expert at singing soothing sleep melodies. Her mother secretly adds more images to her album the next morning, illustrating how far Clara has come. Meanwhile, Amary's father, Henry, takes a flight to Clara's house. Episode number 20. Amary organizes a secret meeting with Iruma at Aquacase, an aquarium/swimming pool. But Iruma is unaware that it is a date. Her idea flops repeatedly, mainly due to her height. She has a hard time holding his hand, and on the water slide, she rides behind him. On the date, he buys gifts for everyone, including Clara, making Amary envious and concerned that the date may not be thrilling enough. They go to a fortune-telling event where a water dragon chooses the perfect romantic couple physically. However, the water has washed away the perfume that masks Iruma's human odor, so the dragon attempts to devour him. Amary quickly comes to his rescue. She is upset since her plan was a complete failure, until he finds a wound on her leg. Seeing it as a good opportunity, using his magic, he makes sure that despite the failure of her plans, it was the finest date ever. Episode number 21. Lord Sullivan enters Iruma's room and takes him shopping to prepare him for his new semester. He gifts him anti-detection spectacles to keep other shoppers from seeing him since he is now a celebrity. On their trip, Sullivan recalls how Durkila, the now lost Demon King, was much like Iruma. He explains to the latter how the Netherworld works. One can only become a Demon King when all 13 crowns give their permission. But it is obviously a great responsibility. Sullivan is one of those 13 crowns, and he even says he'd be curious to see Iruma as Demon King. When they reach home, Iruma lies on his bed and reads the Demon King prophecy scroll he bought at the bookstore, which worries him slightly. Later, Alacred pops out and yells at him for causing him to consume all of Beast's power and then ignoring him ever since. Meanwhile, at school, the new semester begins. Caligo reminds the Misfits that unless they all attain 4th rank, they would lose their permission to access the royal classroom. That's the end of Season 2. Will the prophecy come true? Can a human become the Demon King and rule a demon realm? We'll find out what more is in store for Iruma in Season 3. Thank you so much for watching. Please let us know in the comments what you'd like to see us talk about next. Make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.